Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back to do another video, and I just want to talk about Thomas Tuchel and how England can get to the World Cup, because I know there's been a lot of stuff said in the media recently about how you hear stuff from people like Paul Merson saying, oh, they've got to win it. And I mean, I know he said that for the 2024 Euros, and you have people like Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville doing all these podcasts where they host former or current England players, and they all say how, oh, England have got to win it. I mean, look at the team they've got. And they keep saying how, given how far they've got to previous tournaments, they should be able to just about get over the line at the next one, and then that they're close, and they should be, therefore, going into every tournament, they should inevitably be close to winning the tournament, which I just don't think is the right way to look at it at all. I mean, I'll talk about two things. The main thing I want to talk about is the 5 things I'm going to list of how I would measure Thomas Tuchel as a successful England manager. And I know a lot of people are saying how he's going to be judged purely on whether he wins it or whether he doesn't win it. And I know on TalkSport they had, I think it's Jamie O'Hara saying how, well, he's signed this contract and he's got to win it, and that's it basically. But I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's the idea that if he doesn't win the World Cup, he's a failure, then he's failed. Because I think we need to measure it by a number of different things. I don't think it's as binary as it is. I don't see it as he either wins it or he doesn't. And I also don't like how a lot of people are saying, people like on TalkSport or what's his name, Rob Dorsett. I just did a video on him. You should check it out on my channel. And how they keep saying, how he's been paid for just, I think it's 16 months this contract, and the fact that they're quite offended, I think, the English media in general, that he signed a bit of a short contract, and that he hasn't signed it for 2 tournaments, he just signed it for 1 tournament, and I think people are a bit miffed at that, which is a bit ridiculous, because it doesn't matter, he's a professional. As long as he wants to do it, and he's been 100% into it, then that's great. And I think a lot of people are saying how, all he's got is clearly is that he just wants to win this tournament, as if, he signed a longer contract, and he's got 2 goes at it, therefore it's not absolutely necessary that he wins it, but because he signed just a 1 tournament contract, he's got to win it. I disagree with that. I mean, obviously as an England fan, I hope to God that England win it. That would be amazing. But I don't think he should be just judged if England play, for example, amazing football from now. And they've been playing some pretty good football recently, as people have seen. If they play really well from now until the World Cup and throughout the World Cup, and they play some fantastic football, win all these results, barely concede any goals, and they get to the final, and then they narrowly lose out to an Argentina or a Spain, that therefore Tuchel should be considered a failure. I don't think that's right. And I think people, again, this kind of the English media arrogance coming into it again, that, because it was you definitely saw that before the 2024 Euros, with people saying, they're probably favourites, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know why England were considered favourites, because there was a lot of other top quality teams, like Spain, the Netherlands, Switzerland's got a pretty good team, France, Portugal, obviously, Germany, because they were hosts as well. So I don't understand why England were favourites, and I really don't think, by the way, just quickly, for that tournament, that it helped, all these England players going on these podcasts and having these media interviews before and throughout the tournament, saying how you've got to, surely you'll win it, there's an expectation you're favourites. I don't think that helps to the English players' psyche. I think they should stop doing that. That's one thing I think Thomas Tuchel should just put a stop to, try and stop doing letting the players go on all these podcasts and interviews before and during the tournament. But anyway, there's this arrogance and a bit of entitlement from the English media, not from the English fans. I think the English fans are a lot more mature than the English media, but from the English media, where they just expect that because of the players England have got, they therefore have to win it. Well, we've seen in the past 60 years, just because you have some of the best players in the world doesn't mean you're going to win the tournament. It's the same, not just of England, but of other countries. The Netherlands have had some amazing teams over the years, but they only won, I think, the Euros in 1988. I think that was with Ruud Gullit. But anyway, so yeah. And I guess one of the things that I just want to talk about these, I've got a list of 5 things basically here, where I guess people basically have a list of 1 where Tuchel wins the World Cup or not, and that's it. That's how they're going to judge his entire success. But that's not how I'm going to judge it. That's not how I'm judging it right now. So, first thing is that he needs to generate a clear style of performance. So, this needs to be a clear formation. It needs to be, you need to see how he's going to utilise the wingers, how England attacks, how England defends. There needs to be a clear style of play, because you see with Spain, they still have the tiki-taka a bit. and they've got very quick, fast football, especially, and they've got the wingers like Yamal and Williams cut in. Then you have France, where you got the very pacey counter-attacking of Mbappe, Dembele, Doué, Koulibaly, Barcola, Cherki. I mean, their attack is ridiculous. And you have Brazil. Obviously, there's that Brazilian flair. You have the wingers again that stretch the play. Then you have, I think, João Pedro now, who's a great player. He's in great form. Or Richarlison at the top that can hold up the ball and help link up play with the very creative players, like whether it be Neymar or Paqueta. And anyway, these teams, especially Argentina, I forgot to even mention, they've got this very lucid, fantastic style of play with Messi orchestrating everything from the middle, getting the ball out to the wide wingers, and having midfielders like McAllister and Enzo Fernandez running forwards past the striker to get involved in the attack, almost sometimes as a false nine. And they all have clear styles of play, and as I'm going to get on to in a minute, they also have clear starting 11s. Now with England, especially at the last tournament, they did not have a style of play at all. Southgate, I've said this many times before, he had no idea what he was doing. He didn't have a clear style of play. He didn't know what his starting 11 was. That needs to be resolved. So number one is have a clear style of play. And I think the formation right now, Tuchel's going with people keep saying Declan Rice is playing alongside Anderson, but I don't think he really is when you've seen the England matches. I think it's more of a 4-1-4-1 formation, with Anderson as the pivot in the middle, and then Rice and Rodgers quite advanced, which is better for Rice because he plays more forward for Arsenal. So I think that's a good utilisation of Rice. But you'd have that 4-1-4 formation, and then obviously, if during the match they're defending, it's a 4-2-3-1 formation, which I also like. And I think it's obviously working quite well. I mean, I think even before the Serbia game, the Andorra game, England played really well. It was just, they only won 2-0, I think, but they would have scored a lot more goals if they'd been a bit more clinical. I think Eze had 6 chances or something ridiculous. He was really poor that game, actually. And Rice had a few chances as well. Anyway, so yeah, England, I think, have been playing well for the last 4 matches, really. The Andorra, Serbia, Wales match, and Latvia. And I would say, actually, with the Wales match, that I feel England actually played that first 45 minutes. That was the best football England have ever played. I mean, it was incredible. And I just think Tuchel has kind of established that clear style of play now, and he's repeating this same formation for the last 4 games or so. And I think that's a check right now. And obviously, he needs to consistently keep playing that towards the World Cup and during the World Cup. But I think that's one thing I judge him by, and he's already doing better than in my opinion, Southgate was in his last couple of years as England manager. And then the second one I have is identify a clear starting 11. Now, we cannot go into another tournament like we did in 2024 Euros with Southgate not knowing who's his best 11 is. You have 2 years before the World Cup. You need to kind of figure out what your best 11 is. And during the first few games of the Euros, I think he kept switching out the midfielders. So he had Kobbie Mainoo. He had Trent first. That didn't work. Then he had Gallagher. And then he had Kobbie Mainoo, I believe. And I think he changed it 3 or 4 times. It's that is the time to experiment is not during the World Cup. You need to figure that out before the tournament, well before the tournament. And I think Tuchel has kind of done that, to be fair. I think one of the areas he's obviously still checking out is left back, and he needs to sort that out before the World Cup. And I think he's either considering putting Jed Spence there or Tino Livramento there. And I think in the end it might be Livramento, but I think Jed Spence did really well at left back as well, to be fair. So I'd say Livramento or Jed Spence, but I think he's actually figured out most of the starting 11. I think Gordon's just doing enough to hold on to that shirt right now at left wing. So I agree with Tuchel there, and I think he's established his starting 11, which is quite clearly Pickford in goal. I think Stones Gehi's his preferred partnership. Reece James, he's nailed down the right back. I agree with that. Walker should not be getting anywhere near the England team. So I'm happy with Tuchel doing that. And Anderson, he's got as his pivot. Rice further forward with Rodgers right now. Again, Bellingham, I guess, is the only I do feel like I would prefer, I guess, if Bellingham could be able to play in that team. But I support Tuchel, and I agree. Bellingham should only get into the team if, he can fulfill that Morgan Rogers role, where he could be a number 10 and stay in his channel, and not run around the pitch like a headless chicken like he did in the Euros. I'm not criticising him. He was one of his best player in the Euros, but you could tell he got very tired because he kept trying to be all over the pitch, and he needs to stay in his lane, in his channel, and that number 10 slot where Morgan Rogers is doing a really good job right now. Turning players, getting the ball forward quickly, creating chances, scoring goals. That's what Bellingham should hopefully. I would like him ideally to do in that place, but he's got Rodgers right now, and he's consistently starting the same 11, Tuchel, which is good. And I think he's basically got his starting 11 with Saka, Kane, Gordon up front, Rodgers, Rice, Anderson, and Reece James, Stones, Guehi, Pickford, and I guess left back's the only one he still needs to sort out. But he is sorting it out because he's trying out Jed Spence, Lewis Skelly, and Livramento right now. But once he sorts that out, that's good. And also having clear players who can come in for those players. And I think he's already doing that as well, because he's got, Madueke and Rashford, I think would be the first players to come on at wing. I don't think Grealish has done enough to get into the team, even though he's a good player. But Tuchel's got a little bit more work to do on that, but so far I give him a check and a half for the first two. Creating clear style of play, 1, yep. And 2, getting a clear style 11. Yes, he's almost done that. He's 90% of the way they're done there, but he's almost there for me, Tuchel. Number 3 is having a clear backup plan, so substitutes, as I said. So, again, he does have backup plans in terms of switching his formation from a 4-1-4-1 to a 4-2-3-1 formation, so that's good. He's also got clear backups for his players. He's got Guehi and he's got Konza and Byrne as his backups, which Byrne offers a nice different option as a centre back, and I like that he's just sticking with those are his centre backs. I mean, I understand a Chalobah or a Tomori could come in, but I like how he's sticking with his centre backs, and I think that's good for team morale and also for consistency. So I like that. Obviously, goalkeepers is kind of sorted with Pickford and Henderson, and he kind of has his fullbacks at left back. He just needs to pick who's going to start, and he obviously has. Well, I guess yes. I mean, wingers he sorts out an attack. I guess in midfield it's a bit more difficult because he has so many, Wharton, Palmer, Bellingham, have all been injured a lot, and you feel those three might. A lot of people will feel those three would like them to be in the team, but he's obviously got good substitutes right now. I think it's Morgan Gibbs-White, is back up, and Henderson's back up. I'm okay with Henderson personally. So I like that he's got him as consistent, only out-and-out CDM in the team. So I like that he's done that, and I think Tuchel's got. He's clearly identifying that he needs players that can come in from the language he's saying. He needs players that can start as well as any other players that can start. So all players that are going to go to the World Cup have to be, could be as good enough to start and know exactly how the team formation is going to work, how the style of play is going to work. And that's good. That's something I feel was missing from our previous England managers. So I'd say he's getting there with the backup plans as well. That's good. And obviously number 4, I would say playing consistently well, not just getting results. So I think what kind of England managers have been guilty of or kind of mistaken in the past is, getting 10 out of 10 in their qualifiers and then performing atrociously at tournaments. I mean, 2016 Euros just rings a bell, and 2024 Euros, to be fair. 2016 Euros, England, I think, qualified top of their group, and they got 10 out of 10 wins, I think. And everyone thought, wow, I think they had the best qualifying record of any team going into the Euros, so people were like, that's exciting. And they played some of the worst football we've ever seen at the Euros, got knocked out by Iceland in the round of 16 in the end. And so at the end of that, we kind of realised it doesn't matter how good the results are, it's the performances that matter. And I think a lot of people are saying, they're kind of overcompensating, saying, well, England have only played Latvia or whatever, and Serbia and Albania, and Andorra, and therefore you can't really draw any conclusions from how well England are playing. And I kind of disagree with that, because I feel, yes, the results are good, but it's the performances as well. There's two parts, the result and the performance. And I feel the performance is just actually so much better than it was before. And obviously the two matches against in March friendlies will be huge, because I think a lot of people didn't realise before the 2024 Euros that England played Brazil, Belgium, Bosnia and Iceland in the lead up to the Euros, and England lost against Brazil. They were losing 2-1 to Belgium at Wembley, and they were playing terribly, and Bellingham managed to get a last minute winner somehow. Last minute draw with his last minute goal. But they played terribly in that. They then played terribly again against Bosnia. They did win 2 or 3-0, I think, but they played terribly. And then to top it off, they lost to Iceland in the last game before the Euros, I think. 1-0 it was. And I feel people kind of forget that even happened, but yeah, I think that should have been warning signs, and I feel, it doesn't matter how results have been going, it's the performances that matter, and I think the performances, under Tuchel recently, have been very good. And obviously England perform well in the March friendlies and the warm-up matches for the World Cup, then I think that would be a great indication of Tuchel being a successful England manager, and I think the performances right now are very good. I think as I said, the first 45 minutes against Wales was the best I've ever seen England. They were constantly attacking every minute. They were creating chances. They were positive. They were moving the ball forward. It was not as much sideways passing. And I feel we haven't had that before under Southgate or Hodgson. So I think that's another check for Tuchel. As long as he can, of course, keep this up to the World Cup and during the World Cup. But if England keep playing, really well, aesthetically it looks good, and attacking-wise it's good, and creating chances is good, then I say again that's another successful attribute of an England manager. So that's those 4 things I think are really important. The getting a clear style of performance, formation, play style, identifying a clear starting 11, having a clear backup plan, and playing consistently well rather than just getting decent results. And I think he's doing those Tuchel right now, and I think that's good. And if he keeps them up to the tournament, then even better. The 5th and final one, I'd say, is what most people have been saying in the media, which is just a lot of people are saying, oh, he just needs to win it, and if he doesn't, that's it. That's terrible. But there's my 5th point is how far England actually get in the World Cup. And obviously that will be where he mainly gets judged, but I think that's just a part of how Tuchel should be judged. Now, obviously, quarterfinals, you would say, as an England fan, you would hope England would get there. I think it's dangerous to say you expect England to get there, but I think you would hope as an England fan they could get to the quarterfinals. I know there's an extra round now, the round of 32, but I think you still hope England could get to the quarterfinals. And if England get to the quarterfinals, I think that's you can't really complain about getting knocked out of the quarterfinals, because that's usually where England get to. Anything beyond the quarterfinals is bonus, like a good tournament in my opinion. Semi-finals or final, or obviously winning it, that's a good to great tournament. And I think people just need to, there's this final thing I want to dispel, which people keep saying how, because Southgate's got us close in some tournaments, therefore all Tuchel needs to do is just drag England over the line, and because England are up to the line, they just need to be dragged over it, and people keep talking about that on, I think it's Sky Sports News, and I just think it's a ridiculous thing to say. Every time you go into a tournament, it's just a different location. You've got different players in your own team and different players in the other teams. You've got new manager. You've got new style of play. Completely different conditions, obviously, that's related to the location, and everyone's starting from zero. I feel at the tournament, it doesn't sort of zero. Obviously, your form just beforehand can contribute a bit to your chances of winning the cup, but I don't like the idea that, because England got to a semi-final in 2018 and a quarter-final in 2022, therefore that Tuchel just needs to drag England over that final step England need to take. I don't think there's a final step. It's every tournament you start from scratch. It's tough. There's no guarantee just because you did well at the previous tournament you're therefore you should get even better at the next one. I think it's a ridiculous thing to say. And then England have other teams have seen that. There was the World Cup curse that everyone talked about, where World Cup winners I think for the last 20 years have gone out of the group stage or something immediately after winning the World Cup. It was the same as I think Italy in 2010. I think Brazil didn't do well after winning the World Cup in 2002. They didn't do well in 2006. Italy, I don't think, did well in 2010. Italy haven't qualified for 2 of the last 3 World Cups, I don't think. And then you had Spain got knocked out in the group stage 2014. Germany got knocked out in the group stage 2018. The one exception was France, who won 2018 and then got to the final of 2022. But other than that, it doesn't matter what your form is in other previous tournaments, in my opinion. So I think people need to stop throwing that onto Tuchel and saying, like, well, look, Southgate got as far in some tournaments, because, I mean, the 2024 Euros, that was an abomination of football, so you can't even consider that as, like, a success, in my opinion. But it's unfair to put on Tuchel that he just needs to take the final step. Like, all the hard work's already done for him. Like, I disagree. He's starting from the beginning again here. So I think, yeah, in the end, those 5 things are important. I think just getting to the quarterfinals, obviously, hopefully would be great, but anything more than that would be amazing. And I think he still could be considered a success if he can have play some great football, have a clear style of play, obviously not just get good results, play well, and perform really well, and obviously have a good run at the World Cup. Then I think he could still be considered a successful manager. Obviously, I understand success is measured by winning trophies, and international it's very tricky to win it. But I think, like Deschamps didn't win the last World Cup, but he had a very successful tournament, and I think he's been a very successful manager under France, even in the tournaments they haven't won. So, yeah, I just want to say that about Tuchel, there's a lot of different ways you'll measure success under him, and I think the media need to, again, just chill out a little bit and give Tuchel some time, and if he gets, at least 4 or 5 out of these 5 points I've just mentioned, then I would still consider Tuchel a success, even if England get knocked out in, let's say, the semi-finals of the tournament. So yeah, make sure you guys put your thoughts in the comments below. I read them always, and check out for any other YouTube videos I'm putting out. I do them hopefully once a week, although I know it's been a little bit iffy the last couple months, but as you see, if you balance them all out, I've done one effectively once every 10 days. So make sure to subscribe and you'll get more videos on basically football content, or any controversies in the world, or political content, or any drama. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.